back end of the worst of the situation, which is kind of what's now happening globally. Now globally, gyms are starting to shut down and numbers are growing. And and if people looked within China, they can see that. So like I said, it's about Chinese New Year. So we're on about 5-6 weeks of this thing, and now it's starting to sort of get back to normal, and the numbers are not growing. So, like example for the gym, I can go and work out, but I have to book my session, and there's only like 50 people that are allowed to be in the facility between each hour. So you book your session and you rock up, you can do your workout, and then the gym is empty for 30 minutes while they disinfect everything, clean it all again for the second group to come in. So this week was the first week where I could actually pick up a barbell and do some training, which was good.
Wow.
But previous to that, it's just being creative. It's doing body weight training in your front room. It's doing a bit more yoga, more stretching, meditation. It's reading books. You're just challenged to sort of stimulate yourself and support your team in different ways than we have done before.
Yeah, totally.
So the thing is it's this forced disruption. But what it does is it makes you be more creative, and it makes you find ways, to improve yourself and the people around you, so that when we come out the back of this thing, we've had some self-development, because the alternative is just sit on your bum at home watching Netflix on your couch being miserable. And that's not going to serve anyone.
Also,
we choose how we react to it,
Yeah, totally. For me, from the outside looking in, it looks like things were taken, like the response was so good. Did that help, you think, with people knowing what to do? With the communication side of things? Because I know there's some people in different countries are talking about the communication's not there, and that's why they're so unsure, and that's also led to... I mean, what happened with China, and what can people learn, I suppose?
That's 100% on the money, and that's what I'm seeing. Obviously, I'm British, so I'm paying close attention to what Boris Johnson's doing in the UK.
Yeah.
And obviously, the news is all full of what Donald Trump's doing in America, and what's happening obviously in Italy and the other countries that are having a boom with this thing at the moment, the outbreak.
Yeah.
But so what happened here, I think one thing is the China government acted very quickly and then locked down. And the second thing is that the Chinese people, they followed the rules and they complied. So it wasn't like people said, "No, I don't believe what they've said. I'm still going to go out in the streets. I'm still going to go to a restaurant."
Yeah.
People went, okay, well, listen. So you're quite right. We got some good information quick, and we were given direction, and we all followed it. And I sort of I saw a YouTube clip recently of you remember Russell Brand, the comedian actor. And so it was quite funny because he likened it to being on a plane. Like if you're on a plane and the pilot says, "Hey guys, look, we're going to go through a bit of turbulence for 10, 15 minutes. It's going to get bumpy, but stay strapped in. We're going to ride it out. Don't worry, we'll get you there." When it gets bumpy, you go, "Oh yeah, this is what he told us about. He warned us about this. I feel okay."
Yeah.
But if they don't tell you, you hit those bumps, you're going, "Holy shit, what's going on? The plane's going to crash. Wings are going to fall off." You get scared because you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think as humans, all we want is to be, is to have that communication and some clarity around, hey, this seems to be happening. This is the best way to deal with it.
Yeah.
We're going to get through it. And that solves a lot of the panic.
Totally.
And you want leaders that make decisions, and those decisions are calm and they're measured on facts, and it's not the reactive, and it's not panic stricken. It's got some thought behind it, and that gives you confidence. And I think that's what we had in China was people were just confident that we're doing the right things and we're going to be okay.
What about
so? I guess, hope people can see that, and then when like now where it's getting pretty drastic in some countries, they can see that we've gone through that here already. Because we reacted well and dealt coming out the other side.
Massively. What is it when then you say about, like, so obviously it comes from the higher side of the government and stuff like that. What about the entities themselves? Like, say, you're working with Les Mills over there. Who takes action first? Is it just they're waiting for government, or is it that Les Mills stepped in straight away and just went, look, let's be part of the solution, not the problem?
Good question, because initially, there was the recommendations. So where it was off the back of Chinese New Year, a lot of Chinese people it's kind of like Christmas for me. For Christmas, I go back to my mum's house in England, and I celebrate Christmas with the family. So Chinese New Year, they all go back to the families of where they're originally from and stay there for the week. And so what happened is the government then said, we recommend you not to travel back to your town, just stay where you are for another week. Let's just see what's going on here. So it was the recommendation of the, you know, keeping your distance and not having thousands of people at the airport and the train station. So we followed that, and then as a business, Les Mills China, we introduced the working from home. So as it was recommended to not be in big groups of people because we could spread the virus. Most of us we can find ways to do it from home. So we had you know, we're going to work from home for 1 week, and then that extended to 2 weeks. And then it's okay. The government has said it's okay for us to go back to work if we feel comfortable. And then we come back to work. But what we find is, you know, taking like a cafe example, some owners of cafes still kept their place open, or they did delivery service. So they, you know, obviously the concern is if you've got a small business, whether it's a little gym, a CrossFit box, an F45, a cafe, a clothes store, if you're not open for 4 weeks, you know, you're losing a lot of income, and you still got to pay rent on that building, and you still got to pay your bills. So there's to people's, you know, livelihoods and not being able to make money. So over and above the worry of getting a virus and, you know, it being the health risk, it's the make money for 4 or 5 weeks, but I still got to run my business. So how do I do that?
Exactly. Totally. That's one of the problems facing here at the moment. There's a lot of people that are, you know, they're being forced, or that's what they feel. They feel they're being forced into the point where like gyms are shut down. So now they're trying to take those same people in the gyms and then take them to backyard training or training down a park or some piece of road or asphalt or car park there. And there's people questioning, you know, is that the right thing to do? Because at the end of the day, you're still gathering in the same groups and stuff like that. Just kind of, how was it taken in China? And what would you say, like now you guys have been through it, would you recommend no do that or?
Yeah, so that's what we had. It was, you know, pretty much government law. Okay, that can't be done. The gyms are closed. You can't gather in groups. There was pretty strict rules in those first couple of weeks when it was growing. If you have travelled, you're not allowed to leave your compound. So say there might have been a family of 4 people living in the compound. Only one of those family members was allowed to go out and, you know, go to the store, buy some groceries and come back. They couldn't be in a group out together. So they were very strict on that. So yeah, people weren't doing like small group training out in the park or anything. You know, that was a no-no. So what we had to do was get creative and basically go online. So a lot of my team, they were posting, you know, live feed workouts online, or they were doing health tips, nutrition tips, education sessions, live seminars, webinars, you know, because you can just film yourself on your iPhone in your front room doing some cool stuff. And people can log in and jump on. So it forced people to think of it differently. And mate, some of the guys were awesome. You know, they were getting, you know, big bottles of water and using those as dumbbells, and they're jumping over the couch, and then you know they're doing pull-ups on the butt ceiling, and you know just anything they can think of that could engage fitness community. Because what you got to think of, like, you know, so if I'm teaching a class every Monday night and I've normally got 50 people that I'm looking after, what are those 50 people now doing? They can't come and do a workout. So I can engage them. Hey, I'm going to do an online workout. Join me at 6 o'clock. So everyone started to do that, and it created this real sort of buzz, you know, of challenging ourselves in a new way to engage our members and our fitness community. But we certainly couldn't be doing it outside in groups.
What about these? I mean, between Les Mills, sorry, cut out then. But what with being Les Mills and side of things, were you guys able to do some live streaming of your Les Mills classes, or did you have to just? I mean, Les Mills got their own on-demand like home workouts. I mean, how'd that kind of work?
Yeah, so we haven't got on-demand in China yet, and I know globally what they're doing is Les Mills have offered on-demand free for a whole bunch of people, so they can jump on and actually do some home workouts. So what we had, obviously, we got there a little bit earlier. You know, we're in this position 4 or 5 weeks ago. So we couldn't stream live classes in terms of like the Les Mills workouts, and mostly because of the music licensing law. So if one of my trainers wanted to do something online, they just did like a Tabata training or you know, TRX or kettlebells or, you know, body flow movement, you know, push-ups, plyo jumps, all that sort of stuff. But what we've just done is, because it's the quarterly workshop time, so for anyone listening that knows the Les Mills model, you know, 4 times a year we have these quarterly workshops. So we can't do quarterly workshop 1. There was nothing we could do. So what I did is I got a few of my team into the office and we filmed the education for the quarterly workshops, so people could still jump online and get the education. And then what we're actually doing this week now is we're going to film the classes. So obviously for our China market, you know, they want to see and hear Chinese instructors teaching the workout. so they can learn coaching, connection, performance. So my team are going to do, a mock-up
Chinese, by the way,
workshop class. Oh, it's coming on, mate. Don't challenge me now.
I just said, "Ni hao ma," I started. Sorry.
I can count. Instructor, I can count to 4.
Awesome. Sorry, yeah. So you come up with more creative ways to deliver these side of things, and you said before you were talking earlier that things are starting to return to normal. What do you mean by what's normal as far as people allowed back in the gyms or like group sites?
So one example is so I train at Pure Fitness. And obviously they've been completely closed this time because every gym was closed. And then when it was okay to open up again, it had to be restricted access. So that's where you had to book a time that you were going to train, and then you're only allowed to be in the gym for that time, and then you have to leave. So last week that opened up. So it was 90-minute sessions. So I could go on my phone, book a 6:30 workout, and I could go and train. But they would only allow 50 spots at that time, and I think only maybe 20 people were rocking up. So people are still a little apprehensive to get back out into groups and to be social again. But you've got to wear your mask, and obviously you're washing your hands heaps, and the cleaners are going around cleaning the machines all the time. They're cleaning it. So at least the semblance of normalcy is that I can go to a gym and lift weights. So that's cool. But there's no, for personal trainers, they can't do 1-on-2, 1-on-3. You can only do 1-on-1. And there's no group fitness classes.
Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
Is there a live stream? Yeah.
Light at the end of the tunnel. Can you see group fitness coming back in a month's time, 2 weeks, a year? I mean...
Well, this is the thing. Originally, I thought, no, this is going to be another couple of months, because we're almost living day by day. We're getting new information about how the situation is each day. Yeah. And so it's not like we're told, okay, on April the 1st, you can open again. We don't get told until just before. So basically last night a post went out and I got it in Chinese, and the guys in the office translated it for me. But it's we're now starting to open group fitness. So at Pure, for example, they're able to have a limited schedule and just reduced class numbers. So instead of having 50 people in the class, they can have 25 and have a little bit more space between them. So this is fresh off this was last night. So this went out last night. The government have just said, yes, we're happy to start introducing it. But if you'd have asked me yesterday, you couldn't even do 1-on-2 personal training.
Wow.
So the light end of the tunnel is as long as in this next week or two, if clubs are opening and starting to do some group training, as long as we don't suddenly see a spike in the numbers again and the situation gets worse, if the situation is contained, and then when it's all systems go. But it's tough, man, because for these 6-7 weeks, these instructors haven't been teaching. And you know what it's like when you're a full-time instructor and you're not making money.
Totally.
It's dark times pretty soon.
Is it
so it's been really challenging.
In place? Like,
is there what?
Some kind of support in place? Like here, they're looking at government grants or some funds to help small businesses.
No, nothing I know of. I've heard things overseas in bits and pieces. Like I did see one thing on Twitter that I think the Italian government were offering like €500 or something to self-contractors or people that own business. I know there's things like stopping rent payments for a couple of months or reducing rent payments, but I'm not sure what's actually been allocated here. I just know that sort of for us and our team, we're just reaching out to our people and saying, okay, if any of you need financial help, let us know, and we'll try and find a solution for you. And it's sort of case by case. So one example, like I'm lucky because I've got a full-time role. I'm not living off my teaching, but I still teach 4 or 5 classes a week, and that's a chunk of change that's missing. But I don't need that to survive. So what I said I teach at a club called Z&B. It's a little personal boutique studio. And they're still paying the rent on the facility, and they've got costs involved, but their instructors aren't teaching. So I said, look, whatever money's in the business that you can pay your staff, let's just pay the people that really need it. And anyone that's in a privilege like me that has income from another source, you just don't pay me for January, the classes. Like if you want to pay me in March, April, May, that's fine, but it really isn't a worry. We've got to find a solution that works for all of us. And I can some food, I can pay my rent. Whereas I know there's a couple of people on my team that literally they live paycheck to paycheck with their instructor wage.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they go, I can't now buy food. So
well done.
We have managed. It's funny because
that's why you're a top bloke, bro.
Well, as much as it brings out that worst in people, where you get these idiots, you know, knocking over grannies in the supermarket to grab toilet roll, which I hate. It also brings out the best in people that we go. I think you know, and I do think it's human nature that we will support each other when we really get down to it. If someone says, I need help, our natural response is to help. So I think it does bring out the best in people, and we are seeing a lot of, you know, care and support and love in the community and people helping each other.
Yeah.
And I just kind of hope the learning from this sort of situation is that we all do be a little bit nicer to each other afterwards and a little bit less selfish and a little bit more positive and less hate, you know?
Got to learn that lesson, huh? I mean, geez, when you look at that side of things. It's I think, like you said before, when we went back to the start, talked about the communication side of things. I think you're seeing in countries that had that communication, that have that communication, that's happening where people are being more helpful, whereas within other countries that have not been, you know, people are really getting scared and they are kind of having this aggressive nature in them, which, you know, obviously you don't want to see. Let's go back to the fitness side of things, because there's a lot of people that we're talking with groups. There's groups as far as what they're doing with their businesses, because like you said, like people live day to day, they have their paychecks, they people in personal training. Not only are the trainers don't have a place to train anymore really, but people don't want to go and train or go out of their houses and take on sessions as well, right? So the people looking at solutions, and a lot of people are talking about doing online, like with Facebook, Instagram, like you guys are doing. People are now talking about Zoom to do group fitness sessions and stuff like that. Was it a big take in China that a lot of people did like group classes via Zoom webinars or anything like that? Or do you
it did seem pretty quick. Like it was sort of a few days before anything happened. I think there was a bit of initial shock of, oh man, I can't go to the gym today. I can't train my clients, or I can't teach my class. So it sort of felt like there was nothing for sort of 2, 3, 4 days.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, so a lot of the clubs here, Pure Fitness, ZMB, Super Monkey, Terra Wellness, Wheels, all these clubs went, boom, we've got to get online. So straight away in all the social media, you could see, hey, scan this QR code or open up this mini app and you can see John Bill do a 30-minute Tabata workout, jump on. And so you're seeing your instructors and your personal trainers that you know and love on your social media, and you can do, so it did happen really quick. And then also with the personal training side of things, if you were already quite smart and you already had quite an online presence and you were building content and you were doing, you know, nutrition plans or online workouts, you could just carry on that or just move your client base onto that. But if you hadn't already done it, you just had to hurry up and get it done quick and work it out how to do it fast. Or you're just left with not engaging with your clients for 6 weeks, which obviously isn't good. Yeah. So straight away it was build a social community, build your online presence, and just stay engaged and stay connected. And I'd like to think when we come off the back of it, you know, I'm hoping that all the personal trainers that were doing that still keep their client base and they still can make a good living.
Yeah.
I do worry that it might not have been as quick and sharp to do it, and they might be hurting now, or instructors that, you know, haven't been able to do anything for the last few weeks. You know, can they still be an instructor when we come out the back of it, or if they had to move into a different career?
Yeah.
How many members have stopped doing fitness, and then it's hard for them to get back into fitness, you know?
Totally.
But you're right, communication is the key, and connection. And what it's forced me to do is I'm so much more active with friends and family and staff through my social media than I used to be.
Yeah.
And even simple, you know, you'd be the same, bro. You might get a call from your mum and you're like busy and you go, oh yeah, I'll call her back. Yeah. But you don't for 2 or 3 days. Busy, but you know you're going to call her back. Well, what I do now is I call back, you know, and I make the connection.
Got the time, bro.
But like this, mate, I was excited. This, you know, I get to see you and talk to you, and
all right, literally, this brought us back together.
Hopefully, we might say things that helps someone else, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
It is adapting to what we've been given. You know, life is going to be different, definitely short term, but probably long term as well.
Yeah. Well, it's a good question. I want to ask that actually. With things looking likely that you get back with group fitness and stuff like that, what are you looking? Is there something you're predicting will happen, so you're now already preparing like then people in my mind are going to be going like, I don't want to go back to the gym. I'm still scared, right? Is there things in place to help people feel more comfortable? Is there support groups out there? Is there kind of some forums that are being created in China for people to, obviously the communication is already great, but I mean, what is that business from your guys' point of view? Is there something to help, just be supportive of the community coming back into a space that is now seen as a scary space to go?
Yeah, that's exactly what has happened, and I think that's where the care and the love and the support sort of came to the forefront, because obviously there's business considerations, but at the end of the day, we all do this because we love helping other people. So to stay connected, and if I open up my phone, I could show bunches of groups. So Z&B have a group, but within that group, they'll have the people that do body combat, or the people that do my bar, or the people that do Tabata. Yeah. And there's a group of instructors, the foreign instructors in Shanghai. So we've got some Americans, some English, some Italian, some French, and I've got a WeChat group there where we just shoot the breeze and drop in motivational quotes and videos and keep connected. Wow. So clubs did a really good job of keeping their members engaged and posting, hey guys, we know you're stuck at home. How about you try this today? Here's a great workout idea. Yeah. And it's like the whole thing of painting the vision that things will get back to normal. And the thing that sort of switched in my mind was that whole, it's like Nelson Mandela, man. He was in prison for 27 years. The thing that kept him going was his vision of a better South Africa and a better humanity. So we're not going to be doing this for 27 years. It might be, 27 days, or it might be 2 months. That way, we've got to be the positive influence, and we've got to shape this vision of the future and say, hey, you know what, things are going to get back to normal. There might be a few differences that we'll talk about, but the gym is going to open. We will have a group fitness class again. Let's keep you engaged, and let's make sure you stay fit and healthy through the tricky times, because in 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to be able to see you at my gym and do a face-to-face class again. So that did happen quite quick, and obviously some people are better at it than others. Some people do it more often or have more creative content. But everyone is trying to keep their people engaged. But a lot of industries took a hard hit. The retail industries and anything where people are going out and being face to face. But what it's done, where you talked about like where I see it in the future, I think it's just, we were always going to move into this digital space, and we've seen it over the last few years. More home workouts, more Skype calls, more workouts, more apps on your phone, and and wearables. I just think this has accelerated it a little bit, so it's made it more a catalyst. So all of a sudden, so many people are doing it, and I think it'll never overtake the live experience. You know as well as I do, you can't beat having face-to-face one-on-one PT with a client, or one-on-three, or teaching a group fitness class. Yeah. So I think what will happen is the people that are good at this and that are well prepared and that are flexible and creative, they're going to flourish. Yeah. And there's always going to be some collateral damage of people that might not be as sharp with the skills, or might not be, as have such a work ethic to make it work. And we might see some people falling by the wayside, or some small business that just couldn't cope with the financial struggle, which obviously is a shame. Yeah. It's sort of the nature of the beast, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's like there's a lot of people being affected. Like, even if, let's say, we take away from fitness and these like retail and all that, and people like over here, a lot of companies had to lay off a lot of people because there's not the support there, or there's not the ability for these companies to pay their staff now, and then it sends a whole bit of a chain reaction through an economy, really, and hopefully it's not too big impact. We hope it's limited as much as possible, but I think people at the moment, I've been talking with some groups and they've been talking about fitness, and it looks like trying to take the entire business and they're trying to put it all online. And in my mind here, and you hope you can shed some light on this, is that they should be looking as a setup or temporary setup, so if something happens again, they can go back to it, but not to shift their entire business there, just like as a temporary kind of option, and keep it as a temporary option, knowing that they are going to come back to it. Because I think if you shift your core business, you change their model, you know what I mean? You're actually going to lose those customers that were there for what they came for in the first place. Does that make sense?
That's a really good point, mate. And it is that, we're navigating a few weeks of some stormy weather, and what we've got to do is come up with a solution through that. And absolutely, we still want to do exactly what we were doing 2 months ago, because we love it, we're great at it, that's what's working. it just means that coming out the other end of the stormy weather is we're better equipped, so we can still do our core business, but we've developed this bunch of new skills and new ways to communicate with people and new ways to connect and engage that's going to make us stronger. And like you say, if something does happen again, we're better prepared and planned. And I agree, we've got to be flexible and adapt, but we shouldn't sort of panic and go, okay, this means that everything has to completely change. It's.
What about the sort of? I agree. The I was saying there. When it comes to, like, say, the language you're using in the videos, like, because man, here in this country, like, every 2 posts or 2 out of 3 posts are home workouts for the ones that I'm following anyway. Literally, it's
That's the buzz.
Even there's pet cats and dogs doing the same thing, doing their home workouts.
Push ups with your baby on your back.
Has there been a language change for people when they, like, for example, are they talking about, like, this is our are they still keeping it? This is our temporary option, or are people starting to use languages where it's actually becoming their new business? Here people are just going like, here's our lock. I mean, they call it lockdown over here. Here's our lockdown workouts. That's what they refer to it as, because they're planning for people to come back. And everyone's kind of saying, oh, here's your home workout just during this crisis time, They're not saying, this is my new business. I mean, was it like that in China, or did you just kind of went, here's our workout?
Well, it's funny, because there are all these new words that we I didn't know existed a few days ago, self-isolation and distancing, but they just weren't in my vocabulary. And even home workouts, man, obviously I can see on Instagram there's a whole bunch of famous people that do loads of home workouts, but it was never I'm not the sort of person that can sit at home and do a workout. I'm not motivated. I need to be outside in the fresh air or in the gym with other people. So it was a challenge for me. But what I don't think there was any official announcement. But what seems to happen is somewhere along the line we all kind of agreed to put a positive spin on it, and we've steered clear of like talking about the coronavirus or talking about lockdown or self-isolation. It's just been, hey man, if you want something new and challenging today, why don't you try this? So we're trying to just keep from it. It's not a part-time solution. It's not a full-time solution. It's just an option for today.
Nice.
And try and treat it that we're not combating a problem. We're just going, hey, have you ever thought about doing a bit more stretching and mobilizing? And you like me, have you got tight hip flexors? Put your foot on the couch, me on here, TV on. I think that's kind of kept. It's really clever, because it is the words you use that can create a real different feel in how other people receive the information you're giving. And I've been conscious with my team to steer it away from the numbers of the coronavirus or what's happening overseas or all the side. It's just been, hey, right, we know we've got this thing to deal with, so let's roll with it and take it a higher level.
Yeah, totally. That's a really good lesson for, I think, a lot of people to learn, because I think now that you've brought this up, it's like, well, that's probably not necessarily the wrong way to look at it or the wrong way to keep talking about, because everyone's always they're repeating the word virus all the time. They're using the word isolation, they're using lockdown, and then I think, if anything, it's maybe adding to this. It's scaring people to stay at home. Like, I mean, that's why people now, I know in the last 2 days, going to the supermarket 3 days ago, you'd walk in, there's food on the shelves. Now, it's not that it's bare empty, but I mean, you drastically see a big difference in the stock available in the store. So,
I think last night, my friend, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Phil Anderson? The Kiwi boy that went over to Phil Anderson. So he's in Sydney at the moment, and him and his missus went shopping, and he sent me the photos. So that aisle where it's normally hundreds of rolls of toilet paper is just shelves. Because obviously you see things on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And
we're in the Middle East, bro. We don't use toilet paper. Sorry.
But he was like, literally goes on, and then he scanned over to where the beans were and stuff, and he was like, it is. People suddenly thought Armageddon was coming, or the zombie apocalypse, and they've gone crazy hoarding. But it's because they haven't been given any information, and they're not, there's the communication's not there, and people do get scared. Like, and I still don't understand why people are buying so much toilet roll. But I think the big lesson from this is, and it's like I touched on earlier, we have to find a solution where we all get through this. It can't be good if just I'm at home with my 10 gallons of hand sanitizer and my 50 toilet rolls and I'm happy. Like, we've got to find a solution where let's get through this together. And and that share mentality. And yeah, I might take a dent financially for a little while, but I can bear that dent, whereas the guy next to me can't. So let me help this person out. And
totally, yeah.
Oh, and that's, I think we'll get there. I think, I have faith in society that we will get there, but there's always going to be some idiots that sort of go a bit crazy.
Well, I mean, I think there's so many lessons to be learned from China. I mean, look, it's obviously the highest affected area. I mean, it's what's come from. But in saying that, I mean, you've brought up things to light, and hopefully people that are watching this take that on board as that. There's that light. You're going back to the gym. You're looking at potentially doing group fitness classes that open up again. To help give some better understanding about the reality. Is yes, it is something we'd want to contain, but look. If we do the right thing now, we can get back to normality of life in the near future.
Exactly.
100%. You see with people before, you said the public, they all were on board. Like the public were on board, and that's one. I mean, obviously not 100%, but I mean, majority of people were on board. So when they said, "Look, let's self-isolate, let's stop being in groups," people actually just did that. And for me, the result is that China's now in the position they are because the people listened. Where you are seeing in some of these other countries where people are like, oh, I don't want to stop because they're scared about their business, the financial, which is understandable. But they have to look at that short-term loss for a long-term kind of gain. If they can minimize that lockdown period or whatever they want to call it, so that they can get back into it, right? So, I suppose there's a question there with that side. What kind of advice, like, is reassurance? Can you give, or is there something you could, from your side, you guys have gone through the 6-7 weeks. I mean, I'd hate to see a country go through longer. I mean, and if China can do, with 80,000 plus infections, if China can get back to normality in its places, then surely other countries should be able to do it easier as well. Was there some kind of way that the Chinese government reassured the public, or was it just communication?
Well, I think, obviously they were clear with the message, and I think part of it is a cultural difference as well. It just, I've been here for over 2 years now, and there's a respect for authority here, and there's a respect for the rules, and people comply. That people aren't being rebellious or taking matters into their own hand. If we're told you've got to close your store for 2 weeks, you close your store for 2 weeks, and that's what you do. So I think part of it is what you said. It's the clear message from the government, clear direction that put people at ease, but gave them the rules and the regulations. And as a society, as a people, the China culture is, okay, these guys are telling us what we should do. Let's listen to that.
They are awesome, aren't they? Chinese are amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's, that total faith that it will be right in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because that's what we're being told, that we believe it. And now that is what's happening. And you're quite right. Overseas, it's sort of. I mean, I saw on Twitter this morning. There's a bunch of British people in Benidorm. The English lager louts, and they're still out there in the street drinking. And the police are coming around saying, "Hey guys, you've got to go back to your hotels. You're supposed to be indoors." "Oh, I'm not going indoors." So you've got the ignorant side of our human species, which I'm just going to leave because I can't do anything about that. It's annoying. But you're quite right. You have the people that are in fear of their business and their livelihood, and they're open a bit longer to try and make a bit more money, or they've got a valid reason where they're trying to, push the envelope a little bit. And I guess it's exactly what you said. It's easy for us to say, that we do have to take that short term. We have to take that short term hit, and have faith that means the hit will be shorter, and that we'll get back to normal quicker. If we try and stretch it out and push against it for longer, the situation could get out of hand. So an example. A friend of mine runs his own business, and he said to his landlord, "Hey, look, we're in this shitstorm here. Let me tell you, I can't afford to pay you rent for this month. But what I want you to know is if you work with me here and help me through this period, I'm going to be as loyal to you as I can be. So in the future, I'm going to lock in rent for life. I'm here. I want this building. I want this business.
Yeah, awesome.
You've got to help me through it. You can help me through," and have that real honest conversation. And unfortunately, the landlord of the property had other properties, and they're in a place where they could say, "All right, yeah, we can work with you on this," So difficult open discussions where you've got to lay it all out on the table, and then someone somewhere might have to take a bit of a hit if they're able to.
Yeah.
And it's that thing that as a society, it's got to be for the good of the collective, and your collective might be your town, your village, your community, your gym, your family, your friends. But we want all of us to get through it, and not just some of us.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm not a small business owner. I've got many friends that are. The place that I teach at, he's got 4 small studios.
Oh, wow.
So throughout this, he has rent on those studios, and and I don't know what that feels like to think I've got no money in, and here's my savings, and they're going down.
Yeah.
I've got 60 asking me for their money so they can pay, put food on the kids' table, on the table for the kids. So I don't know what that would feel like, but I can empathise with, with the situation, and that we've got to help each other out.
Yeah, totally.
But I guess what you touched on was good, in that the rest of the world should be able to see what we've done in China, and that the situation is better.
Yeah.
So we've gone through those few weeks of a difficult situation, and it has worked for us. Hopefully other countries will go through the same thing.
Yeah.
And it won't be, several months. It will just be a few weeks.
What's the odd this? What's your thoughts? I don't know what happened about the airlines in China and stuff like that. But I mean, in New Zealand they talk about potentially just stopping. Actually, you've heard a couple of countries talking about just stopping flights into the country for a period of time, because they're finding that it's travellers that are bringing it in to country. Well, New Zealand specifically, when you look at that, but it's quite easy for a country like New Zealand, a small island, to cut off the borders. They that's it, out. Do you think? Do you think it's a good idea? Like, say for example, we can try and refer this to a facility as well, where if you as a business want to keep it out, let's go back to the country. The country side of things, if the country just said no flights now for the next 2 weeks, learning from China, would that help New Zealand stop the spread of coronavirus, or do you think it's kind of something else that's too drastic?
Yeah, it did work here. So the travel restrictions started, I want to say it was January 23, I think. So in Wuhan, where the first cases were, and where it grew quick, and that was like the epicenter.
Yeah.
So it locked it down. So there was no flights in or out, and internally there was no buses and trains and things. So they completely locked it down and contained it. So obviously there was still a few people that needed to get out of Wuhan, and different embassies kind of, like the British embassy got rid of some English people that were in there, British people. So there was still a little bit of that going on, but you're quite right. It seems to be spreading where there's this travel, and it's odd, do we need to travel that much? Do we need to be on planes all the time and going to other countries? And if it's just a case of, right, no one can travel for a month, just deal with it.
Yeah.
And we solve the situation, and then why would we not do that? It's so simple. And you've got the airlines asking for bailouts and help because financially they can't stay buoyant. So then it raises the question of, well, that's just a social structure that we've created, this airlines, and we need flights, and we need these companies. Like, we don't, I don't have to do that. So it's really going to change how we look at some things in the future. But I know that, it is annoying if you want to travel somewhere to see your family or for work and you can't. But again, it's that short-term hit for the long-term solution. So you're right, they did. I think British Airways didn't fly into China. I think Qantas and Virgin were the same in Aussie. And I know New Zealand and obviously Les Mills International, who we're affiliated with, that they stopped traveling to China. And it was for both reasons, to keep us safe, to keep them safe.
Yeah.
To try and flatten that so we're not spread.
Totally, man.
And it is. It's a global thing, and that's where the spreading is starting to happen with travel and big groups of people. And the experts are telling us that the pushback is, the economy, and the business side of it, that's really going to be difficult to balance. But I'm not an expert on it, but I just know that what happened here was, yes, we restricted travel, and yes, it worked.
Yeah, totally. Well, there you go. What about I want to go back to fitness, because so many people, like China. I mean, the only experience I'm thinking there's a lot of small places, and people can find these. I mean, it's small living quarters in China, right? Am I right? Or am I?
Well, there are. We've got sort of tiered cities. So we've got like your tier 1 cities, which is Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen. It's your big places.
Yeah.
And it goes down through tier 4. So we've got these little tiny, old-fashioned kind of little villages, and it's like something out of the old kung fu movies. It's really cool to see. For someone like me, that's a different culture and a different world.
Yeah.
but yeah, we do have those little small sort of communities and very rural communities.
How creative would it be with the workouts? You and your teams, I mean, with such a confined space. I mean, you talked about the water bottles before, you filled up and doing bicycles or over the head. What was the most creative thing you saw with the workout or you've seen?
Well, we've got so on my team, I've got a husband and wife, Nick and Robin, and they're actually in Wuhan. So obviously I've kept close contact with them. They're right there, and it's that same thing that, you know, you get a lot of media hype about the numbers and how scary it is. But anytime I spoke to them, they felt perfectly safe. They said they're fine. You know, they just got to live by the new rules.
Yeah.
But they've done a lot of husband workouts. You know, so they'll do things where they're challenging each other, or she's on his back, or he's on her back. You know, or you know, she actually does our bar program and our body balance program. So she's very flexible, and so she's challenging him with his flexibility, and then he challenges her with his strength. So they're ones that were, you know, using furniture and using the water bottles and cans of food or bags of rice, you know, like a Bulgarian bag, big bag of rice on the back. Bulgarian.
Perfect. Look at that. Fitness will never be the same again.
It's fun, yeah, because it brings out that side of people, and even some of the basic stuff. So it might be, you know, like for me, I was learning headstands. Like as lame as it sounds, I couldn't do a headstand, and I know you can see 50 million yoga people do them. Yeah, and they can do a headstand for like 5 minutes. But I kept filming myself doing it, mate. I couldn't work out how to do it. It was so frustrating. But what I did is I used engage other people and said, hey, let's all try and learn this thing, a headstand, and see. Yeah. So you know, on my WeChat, which is our social media, you know, I've got hundreds of instructors, and there's no posting themselves learning a headstand, and mate, we're all terrible at it.
That's awesome, though.
but no equipment needed, just learn something new. So and it was I talked to yesterday. I was talking to Tommy, actually, Tommy in the UK. Remember Tommy G? You know Tommy. Yeah. And he said he got a saucepan, and he filled it with 4 or 5 big cans of beans, and then wrapped tape around it. And he uses it as a kettlebell, a saucepan kettlebell.
That's a good idea. That's creative. That's really good, actually. Never thought about that. Oh, the old school pots. Actually, I might have to try that one. Give that one a go. Bro, I want to ask you about the because you talked about the impact on businesses at the moment when you're talking about they're shut, they're closed as a business owner. No, it's not a space you're in, but are you seeing, because that's one of the things here, obviously there's a difference between a big commercial club and these smaller niche clubs. Yeah. What kind of things are they doing? Because I suppose I'd like to give some kind of confidence or a reassurance to those clubs that don't have those big budgets, or something they can do to make sure they come out the other side, or what they could be doing now. Have they just done the whole video workouts, online videos, the communities kind of group things, or what have you seen them do?
Yeah, well, I guess it's, you know, again, it's that thing that are they a paid model where it's a monthly fee, so that, you know, or an annual fee, so the membership's paid up front. Yeah. So they might find that they're okay. They've got some money in the bank at the moment to last, but obviously in the next month, because they've had a month of no subscriptions, that's going to be a difficult period. Or if it's a pay-as-you-go model, in terms of every time you do a class, you pay, so straight away there's no cash flow. And again, it's that business planning, isn't it? So if you haven't sort of planned or predicted for a bit of a crisis, and you're now in a position where a crisis has hit you, you know, you speak to your equipment providers, your landlords, the people that you've got to pay money to, and see if they can get a win-win situation through. Because 100% what we don't want is any business closing. You know, the whole idea is we want 0 gyms closing. Yeah, we want them all to stay open. And you're right, a big company that's got, you know, 60 gyms, and they're more likely to have some finance that can help them, or investors that can help them, whereas the guy on the corner that's got his own, just a little CrossFit box, you know, it's all out of his back pocket, and it's a struggle. And then things like the members that are paying the fees. So if you're not going for a month, do you hold, you know, are you not paying for that month, or do you get your month added onto the end? You know, what's the solution that works best for you, that keeps you as a member at our facility? So it's I think, again, it's that communication. So communicating to your members, hey, this is the situation we're in. We're going to look after you. we're not here to take your money and then not offer you some workouts. We're here to support you. But as a business, we've also got we've got our bills that we need to pay. So behind the scenes, I've got to have a chat to those guys that I have those relationships with and see what we can work out. And it's sort of now that we're going to start finding out if people have won or lost in that space. So I know, like I mentioned, the club I teach at ZMB, obviously they've been taking a big hit, but we're just starting to open up again. So we've managed to weather that storm in whatever way he has. Are there other small clubs that haven't been able to do it? I don't know. I know there's cafes and there's bars and restaurants that have closed down. But what you find is the ones that have struggled and maybe shut up shop were already on the edge. This was just a thing that tipped them over. It wasn't like they were going great guns and all of a sudden they've stopped. They were already in a place where money was a little bit tight or the business wasn't quite operating as successful as it could. And then the dark time comes along and just tips them over the edge. So I'm just hoping there's not too many in that space, but I wouldn't know how many there are. All I can say from an advice point of view is hopefully if your business was pretty solid beforehand, you should be okay getting through. Have those conversations with people that are going to be, asking you for money, paying your rent, your landlords and stuff, and trying to get that win-win because ultimately it's if your businesses are shutting down, then the landlord's still not going to get his rent, and then your members aren't going to have anywhere to train. So it is a loss. So I think a bit of compassion and a bit of empathy from humans that are in those positions hopefully will see us through. Going back to good relationships, trust and respect. It's funny how it's almost we've gone back to like the old caveman days of the real basics being important. Human connection, trust, respect. Loyalty, faith in each other, and making sure we've got a roof over our head and we've got food to eat. When we're looking after the people to our left and our right, it's gone right back to basics. Oh, I can't hear you, bro.
Right now, it should be working now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got you.
Had to change my mics.
Plan B, flexible.
Plan B, bro. Always got a plan.
Always got a plan.
What I was going to say is that over here, in the industry, a lot of people do high fives, they do fist pumps and stuff like that. And one of the advices from World Health Organization was to sneeze into your elbow, but people started doing this whole elbow touch type thing. And I was like, wow, that kind of defeats the whole...
That's a bit weird.
Yeah, it defeats the whole purpose.
It is different. Like we're social creatures, and especially in the fitness industry, we high five, we hug, we bro hug. And it's difficult to not do that. But again, it's that case of shit, man. If we really want to get this under control, we've got to stop putting our hand out for shaking it. We've got to stop high fiving, and then maybe in 3 or 4 weeks we can go back to normal. But even on the TV, like you see a clip of Prince Charles will get out of his car and he'll go to shake someone's hand. Oh, I forgot, because we've been doing it all. So it is. Right. I can't get my head around the elbow thing. I'm just like, yo. Or I just do the Kiwi eyebrows. I just go, oh, bro, just do the eyebrows. Sure, bro. But it is. It's a big part of our human interaction that's now gone. Close. Yeah.
Do you see that coming back in China?
But it is.
Do you see it coming back in China?
Say what?
Do you see it coming back in China when you have the group fitness back on? How long do you see that being away for? Like, people want to do it, like you said. People want to shake hands, high five, fist pumps, whatever. Do you see it being out for like?
I wonder.
It could be years down the track, really.
I guess, like looking historically, we should probably get there first, that we can shake hands again. We should, but not touching your face, not shaking hands, and high fives, and being close. So we're sort of now starting to be out in public a little bit more, and actually go to a cafe and go to a gym. So, hey, I don't know, it could be 2 weeks and they say it's okay, or it could be 2 months. They say, let's play it safe, and then still not touch hands for a long time.
What about, I mean, okay, maybe experts and stuff like that, but what about yourselves? What is the kind of, do you guys have discussions, being a group fitness company, do you guys have discussions with yourselves of what precautions you would take?
I missed that bit, say again.
So, like, the precautions you would take, being a group fitness company, right? So, the government's obviously going to give advice and stuff like that, but do you guys talk about, like, even if the government said, okay, it's okay to high five and things like that, would you still,
right? Yeah.
As a business, would you go, actually, know what, we're still going to wait, or we're going to try and take out, or I don't know. So you guys,
we definitely listen to the it's I think a little bit is cultural as well. So what I found since living here is culturally it's not as touchy feely. So it's not there's not as many high fives and hugs and handshakes as maybe in our sort of society.
Yeah.
So it's already at a lower place. I feel for people in Brazil and Italy, who are super touchy and feely and hugging. Yeah. So it's going to be really tough. I can't see how the Brazilians are going to do it. Not touch and not handshake. I know, but we have, we have discussed that, and even within the office, it's, we're just keeping that distance. And if you're having a conversation with someone, we're just one step away. We're not as close in proximity as we used to be. We're just aware of being slightly more, having some space. We're not shaking hands. We've got hand sanitizer everywhere, so we can make sure we wash our hands. If we're going to go and eat, or if we're coming back from the toilet and whatever.
Sorry, I forgot to ask you,
it's just that awareness.
Is sanitizer and hand sanitizer free? Or are they still charging? Sorry.
Well, we're providing it for free, yeah. So I guess the company's bought it, and we've got a whole bunch of them here. We haven't had to pay for that ourselves.
So what about the hand sanitizing companies? Have they taken advantage of being like, hey, let's sell a lot more now? Have they reduced their prices?
No, yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty dark, wouldn't it? If they were using it as an opportunity to make even more money. That's pretty not cool. But I think I'm sure there's a bunch of those companies that have sent supplies to places, and they've helped them out, and gestures of goodwill and good faith should go a long way in life, rather than doubling the price or tripling the price and using it as an opportunity to make money. Yeah, that wouldn't be cool. But I know that in the gym, for example, so if I go to the gym, there's hand sanitizer everywhere and cleaner everywhere, and it's all getting provided. But I'm pretty sure it's the company that's just providing it. I don't know if the actual hand sanitizer companies are or not. I don't know.
Actually, it's been quite cool. Yesterday, I saw a advert on TV. It was from one of the hand sanitizing companies. It was like, yeah, great work. Make sure you keep hand sanitizing yourselves. But they were also saying whether it's our product or someone else's. That was the message they had on their.
Yeah.
It's quite cool and quite noble. Just want to see.
Well, I saw there was some information that came out that there's a whole bunch of hand sanitizers that then it's not quite the right alcohol in them, or it's not the right content to fight this particular virus. It's different between germs and virus, and what liquid soap you're using or detergent or whatever. I'm not sure the facts, but you might have heard it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that people are doing and using that apparently the experts are saying that isn't the right thing for the purpose.
Yeah.
So you think you're doing a great job, but it's like, no, you just wash your hands properly for 30 seconds with soap and water, and then that little hand sanitizer doesn't do anything. Yeah.
I got tons of mates back in New Zealand doing that.
Yeah, it's tricky. Sometimes it's tricky to get the right information.
Yeah.
There's so much missing.
It's quite interesting you said, and that's probably, now the more I think about it, that you brought it up, where it's about the cultural side of things. They're mostly not as touchy, but they're very clean as well. They're very proper, I suppose, like what they do. They go about their business and the way they do it in a very structured way. They listen to the government. You're trying to organise how many is it still 1 billion? Is it more than 2 billion yet, or how many people in China?
Oh, yeah, it's 1.6, I think, 1.4, 1.6 billion. Yeah.
Jesus. So you know, that kind of number.
That's a lot of people. Huge, yeah. I don't know how you run a country that big, but they do.
We talk about, you said in the area you're in, I can't remember if it was the province or whatever, you said like there's only 18 cases and 17 have recovered from that.
Yeah.
Is it because it was later, were you guys warned kind of before that happened, or what do you think was due to the low number? Like you're 18, there's less people infected in your area than there has been in the whole of New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So.
You know what I mean?
So
was it precautionary?
Basically, in Shanghai, you know, there's a whole bunch of different provinces, and they're all pretty low. And I think where I live is, you know, it's got a little bit of space, and it's a mix of foreigners and locals. It's called the French Concession, and again, when we had the lockdown, the shops closed, the cafes closed, and then people just weren't on the streets. So people just adhered to it really quick. It's not necessarily any less densely populated than the other suburbs along. It just happens to be that it's lower there. So even in Shanghai, you know, there's been no new cases, I think, for 2 weeks now. You know, so the numbers there hasn't been any new cases. So I guess what was first coming out, wasn't it, is that it was the elderly and the infirmed and people that already had issues that were susceptible to this. And I guess, you know, maybe I'm just in an area where, you know, our people are a bit younger, a bit fitter. You know, if they've managed to contract it, they've got over it pretty quick. Perhaps there was less travel. You know, perhaps people listened to that and then didn't travel, and there's no one coming in and out. It's tricky to put your finger on what it is, but it's nice to know because originally when all this started, all my family and friends were really worried about me because I live in China. So straight away it was, oh my God, there's this virus in China, and that's where Matt lives, you know, and it's, you know, and it's like, he's going to die, and it's, you know, all this crazy, yeah. When, you know, actually, like with that, you know, we're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles from Wuhan where it is, and what's actually happened now is it's probably the safest place to be. Like, I feel like Shanghai is probably one of the most safest places to live. A, because we've come off the back of it already and we're in a better place. Yeah. And B, just seeing how crazy it is going in you know, the countries that I've lived, you know, New Zealand, Australia, and UK and America, let alone what's happening in Italy, Spain, Germany, France. So it seems to be going crazy. So oddly enough, it's almost been a complete table turns. The whole world was looking at China going, what the hell is going on there? Yeah. We locked it down, sorted it out, and now we're looking out going, right, we need to be helping the rest of the world because they can learn from what we... Yeah.
Although, did you do it like the Italians? Yeah. Did you have people on the balconies playing music and partying? Did you see that?
I didn't see any of that, but I saw that on I think it was Instagram or something, but that looked really cool. But that's it, you know, trust the Italians to find something cool and something beautiful in a tragedy, you know. It's awesome. I loved it.
What do we do? We party, yeah?
I think if I went out on my balcony and started to sing, someone would throw something at me and tell me to shut up.
Here comes the gumboot.
Yeah, right. Boom.
Is there things that? What about looking at you've mentioned it, looking out at other countries? Is there things you're kind of thinking, man, I wish they just did this, or they should do that? You know, is there things you're seeing if you look at Europe, or you look at America, whatever about these other countries? UK even, maybe more specifically UK being British. You look at UK, I mean, like, oh, you guys should be doing this. What are you doing? Why are you waiting? Kind of thing. Or
it's tricky to say because originally, like with what's happening in the UK, like my personal feeling, and obviously I'm not an expert, but my personal feeling is it seems like the country don't have a good handle on it. It feels like, you know, maybe Boris Johnson isn't really doing a great job of dealing with this and being a leader that's, you know, that's decisive in taking action and got the support of the people. It's kind of a rocky time. Yeah. Plus we're coming off the back of all that Brexit nonsense as well. So it's just been a lack of faith and trust in the government. And now we've got a situation where the government don't seem to be making decisions or learning from what the WHO are saying or learning from what's happened in China. But then, you know, you could turn it on its head and say, well, maybe he's a bit of a genius. Maybe his like dealing with it little by little and not being too, you know, strict on it, just saying, oh, we recommend maybe you shouldn't hang out in groups for a little while. And it's kind of quite low key. Yeah. Maybe that's reducing the level of panic and it might end up being a stroke of genius. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
But my personal feel, is that it doesn't seem like society has a lot of confidence. And then obviously in the US, I mean, it's a real polarization, isn't it, of people that fully support Trump and a whole bunch of people that completely don't. And if you're for him, you can make cases that you're doing a great job, and if you're against him, you can make cases it's not going well. But any American people I talk to, and through the fitness industry, feel like it's not getting dealt with, and they don't trust, what the decisions that are being made or the indecision that's happening. So it's hard because I wouldn't have a clue how to run a country, but all I can go on is the people that I talk to that are in that country that don't feel like it's getting dealt with very well. Whereas I'm in a country where I felt they dealt with it really well, so I'm pretty fortunate. And it's a real cultural difference for me to see, because naturally now I'd be living in Australia or probably America or back in the UK. So I'd be right in amongst what's going on. But luckily for me, But it's
I was thinking about, like, for you, if yourself, what learning have you taken away from this? I mean, connection with family and stuff like that's been one of the things you've taken away from it. Is it something now you're like, okay, when things go back to normal, do you find yourself you're going to be different? Do you feel? I mean, I feel I'll be different already. We've hardly been affected. I mean, do you feel that yourself? Are you gonna? Do you have any plans?
It is that classic. I'm going to change the world. Yes. I think it is that classic thing, like that classic thing of finding the learnings in what's going on right now, and then when you come out the other side, like say, what are you going to do different? How are you going to be better? And I think one of the big things is I come back to that word connection. Like I naturally feel like I'm a good connector, and I try and do a lot of staying connected with friends and family. And my staff, but absolutely I can do a better job of that. And I feel what's happened is this has shown me that, the little things that you might do each and every day, whether it's just a phone call or a text message or flicking a Facebook message, that can have a really huge impact on someone else. So some of those little things that might take you 10 seconds could completely alter someone's day for that whole day. And then they go on and have a better day, and they go on and positively impact 10, 12, 15 other people. So that butterfly effect or that ripple effect, it's sort of really made it prevalent and brought it back to the forefront. The little things, the simple things, don't take them for granted. Reach out and help other people, support other people, be there to serve other people. It's times of, I guess, tragedy and crisis that to the forefront. But life goes back to normal, and we sort of forget, and then we get lazy again or complacent, or we mean to do something. But it's that self-ownership, and I think I just started reading a book. It's Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and I've tried to read it a few times and never quite finished it. But I'll promise myself I'll finish it this time. But that's he's an Auschwitz survivor, and I don't know if you know the book, but it's probably the ultimate tale of controlling the controllables, dealing with adversity, and having that positive outlook and a vision that can see you through, so you can get out the dark times and come out the other side. And I feel like it's taking you back to, right, what's your purpose, what's your real value, and what's your passion, and why are you on this planet, what are you trying to achieve, away from posting an Instagram post that gets 200 likes or a Facebook post that gets 100 likes, and being popular and being rich and famous and all that nonsense. It kind of pulls it back to those primal values, which I touched on earlier, and I think probably a better way to live our life. And I think it's what sort of transpired is my role in staying positive. Like it's easy for me to get into a negative space, or to feel depressed or be unhappy or feel like life's hitting me, and I don't like injustice, and I hate it when other people are sad. But if I'm not the one that rocks up and is positive and creates the energy and makes things happen, someone else isn't. So I kind of stepped into that space a little bit more of the change I want to see. I want to create that. I want to post more positive on social media. I want to reach out to more friends. I want to reach out to more family and colleagues. And so if that's what I think is good, then I have to action it and not just say I'm going to do it, or not just read a motivational quote on Instagram and think, oh yeah, that's really good. Actually do something that is good. So a bit of behavioral change. And I think for most of us, when the truth really hits, it's something you already know. Like, obviously I'm saying these things now and I can see you're nodding because you know them, but one or two things you might think, oh shit, yeah, actually I know that. I should be doing more of that. Like when you get that real revelation, it's very rarely brand new information. It's something that resonates in your soul that you say, shit, yeah, actually.
Oh, the connection cheapers. Oh, all right, guys. Back, we wanted to finish this off, so hold on. Come back.
Oh yeah, got the box.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, there he is. All good.
Sorry, I mean, it sucked that it cut off there because it's so true. And man, that's the one thing for me that when I look at this situation, I don't think it's the end of the world like a lot of people think. I think it's just a situation we're going to go through. There's been far worse situations that humankind has been through. There's a common word of gift. That's what I look at it as, and then hopefully people see this as a gift of opened your eyes to the, like you just said, the primal side of life. There's some real values that are more valuable to people and what you can do, and
totally.
It comes out totally. Bro, it's actually I've been really enjoying talking to you. I'm actually going to get kicked out of here in a second because I've got more guests coming in. But
no stress, man. I appreciate the chat. Yeah,
it has been too long, and this is one of the great things. This part of the whole thing we're just saying right now was that the ability now that I've reached out and caught up, catch up with you and see you in such a good space and place and get advice from him. And it's just like, man, and to be honest, like literally, it's been like 10 years maybe seeing each other.
Must have been, yeah.
It feels like.
Did you leave before? I left NZ 2012. When did you leave?
In 2010.
Oh, right, yeah. So since 2010, then.
I wasn't walking into the old Auckland City or Newland gym. Hey, Betty.
So that's kind of we live in a good time, don't we? Like I can see what you're up to on Facebook or your social media posts or listen to your podcasts, and so you sort of still feel like you stay connected and to a certain degree, and you keep up with how people's lives are going and what they're doing for their business. But I think ultimately, just being able to see someone's face and be able to chat, like we're lucky we live in an age now where we've got this, especially now with the situation we're in.
Totally.
You can pick up the phone and actually FaceTime someone in America and Dubai and China and Japan. And and you never feel bad from it. Like it's always like you feel better, I feel better. Yeah. Maybe some people listening have had a bit of a lift. Like it's always a win-win. So I don't know why we don't do it more often.
Exactly. I say the same thing.
That's our lesson, bro. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Bro,
don't just like a comment, actually to them.
Well, it's saying action it, right? So let's say. Oh well, bro, I figured out my technology I've shown you before we actually went on air. I showed you the whole stuff.
Yeah, mate.
But yeah, for everyone that's also out there that's also watching as well, either now on the live or later on the replay, if you guys have comments, questions, maybe they can reach out to you as well. I assume, or for them to reach
absolutely, out. Man. I'd be happy to help.
Awesome, we'll chuck his details down in the comment sections and descriptions down below, so you guys can follow that as well, or catch up and just bro. Please keep up with those these updates you put on lately on Facebook. It's been fantastic just to give people understanding, communication, and it's better we don't wait for someone else to do it. We take action and we do them ourselves, which is awesome, bro.
And as soon as I'm allowed to travel again, man, I'll come over and see you in Dubai.
Bro, it's an open space. If they let you in the country, bro, come and stay. That's how we do it. Thanks, bro.
Take care, buddy. It's great chatting to you.
You too, bro. Thanks, Isay. We'll talk soon, man. Peace out.
And look after. Cheers, bro. Sure.